Hello and welcome to the fourth lecture in the Rosenbach Museum and Library's Reading Ulysses Online. Here we're going to talk a bit about the novel's history of publication, just to get your feet wet. Many new readers already know that Ulysses has a very unique publication history. But even before that first edition made it into Joyce's hand on his 40th birthday, it was already an international scandal. On the last page of the text will tell you that this novel was written in 3 cities, Trieste, Zurich, and Paris, over the years 1914 to 1921. This period covers the writing of the text as we know it, but the germ of the idea for a Ulysses-like figure goes much further back in Joyce's work. There was a story conceived for Dubliners that we know of, and that book even had a working title of Ulysses in Dublin until about 1906 or 1907. While Joyce had gained the reputation as somewhat of a literary young gun during his youth in Dublin, it was the publication of Dubliners in 1914 and Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man in 1916 that gave him international renown. Joyce was approached by the American poet and critic Ezra Pound to write something new while he was living in Trieste in 1914. The story of Ulysses, with Pound as its agent, first made its appearance in the public in March of 1918. Serialized in an important literary magazine of its time, the Little Review. At this time, Joyce was considered to be a leading light of modern literature with a very troubled publication history. Both Dubliners and Portrait carried some scandalous elements. And this book, Ulysses, was expected to be the next great work for his generation of writers. But the novel in the serialized versions, as with other publications, brought enormous controversy. The Little Review was shut down, its copies seized, and its owners arrested over the sexual frankness in material from Joyce's Ulysses. This led to an American ban on the book before it was even completely written. While Joyce had many patrons and champions for the book among the literary powers that be, he found most publishing houses unwilling to take on the project. This all changed when Sylvia Beach, an American bookseller living in Paris, decided to undertake the role of publisher. The pressures of societal prudery still remained, of course. Beach had to work with a French printer who spoke little to no English in order to escape the charge of the book as pornographic. No book distributor nor bookseller would take advance orders, and so the book was sold in a print-run-only edition of 1,000 by prepaid subscription and mail order, which ran through her own Paris store, Shakespeare and Company. Demand for the book was high in America, where it had been banned, and copies that were sold to subscribers here had to be smuggled in via Canada. This American ban of the book lasted until 1933, when it became the subject of one of the court's most important decisions on freedom of speech. We'll have more on that later. All of this unusual history in the publication of the work had a great effect upon its method and its content. Joyce would often write new passages for later chapters based upon changes or even mistakes found in galley sheets or in the earlier serialized versions. Jokes, allusions, references to places or events would all pop up very organically as the novel's form changed from manuscript to galley sheet to first printing to book form. So for first-time readers, it's vital to understand that in both process and content, there'd never been a book quite like Ulysses, and throughout its genesis, he was happily, skillfully, playfully steering us into uncharted waters of what a book might be. And we'll see you next time on another short lecture.